you want to back the Rams, maybe an anytime touchdown is better than these, rushing and receiving props, because if Sean
Ooh.
McVay does cook something up, it could be kind of unpredictable. The one thing about the Kyren number, when it was a little bit lower, I could see it. At 89.5, guilty as charged. I bet it last night. But like, if he's rushing for like 150, 160 the past month or so, like that's like almost half, right? So he could still be limited and go over that.
I suppose he could, but I mean, we've kind of seen this before, right? Like if Kyren Williams is, getting 150 rushing yards every single game, then this is historic. What's going on is better than, say, Derrick Henry or all the other Adrian Peterson, all the other great running backs of all time over the last decade. If he's that consistent, at some point, this has to fall back down to reality. And, all of us, I think, have been burned at some point, sort of backing, these high profile stars, thinking that these great numbers are going to persist. And usually they don't.
He's rushed for 89 yards or more in 6 of the last 7 games. I mean, the numbers don't lie. Maybe it is historic what we're seeing. I don't know, but he's been doing it for almost 2 months now.
What about Chris Olave coming back? Because this is another reason why, like, I'm backing the Saints at +4, is having that deep threat means that the Saints can get back into a game if, say, they're trailing by double-digit points.
Yeah, Olave's numbers, 4.5 receptions, set at 60.5 yards, and anytime touchdown plus 230. That's by far the best number that you're going to find. Not as great elsewhere. Yeah, you wonder about the full health. I mean, how it looks right now, though, it does look like the Saints are going to have their starters at wideout, which they have not had in quite some time. Obviously, Michael Thomas still out, but that could be big for them.
Mm-hmm.
And what version of Derek Carr, I almost said Derrick Henry, Derek Carr are we getting? Like, he's just been so inconsistent. I think that'll be key for the Saints too.
Ed, are you leaning lower scoring?
I think
I could
the total
see it
is
either way. Okay.
Yeah, we've got a total of 46, which is probably higher scoring this year. I think that's about right. That's probably safe to say. So probably like a 23-21 Rams victory, something like that. So maybe slightly lower than 46, but the spread is where I'm going. I think the Saints can cover the 4.
Starting with Kyren Williams, no concerns there. He's a no-brainer. It is somewhat of a tough matchup. The Saints have surrendered just 1 total touchdown to running backs over the last 3 games and just 7 all season. That's the 6th fewest. But Williams just on a heater this year, 4th in rushing yards and 3rd in total touchdowns among running backs, and he's only played 10 games, really 9.5. You can't really sit Williams against anybody, even the Saints. Again, not a smash spot, but Williams is a must-start, as is Cooper Kupp. He's back to must-start status after sort of a tough stretch after missing the first 4 games. Again, this isn't a great matchup either, but neither were the Browns or the Ravens over the last 3 weeks. And Kupp has scored in those 3 games over the last 3 weeks, 100-plus yards in 2 of those 3 as well. So Kupp pretty much matchup-proof. I'm rolling him out with confidence on Thursday night. I'm a little nervous about Puka Nacua, though, in this matchup against New Orleans, who have allowed just 8 wide receiver touchdowns all season. That's the 2nd fewest, just 1 over the last 6. Nacua has scored just 2 touchdowns over his last 9 games. During that same span, he's topped 90 yards just twice. I can't fault you for starting Nacua in this Thursday night matchup in standard leagues, but if you have a better option, I might wait to deploy that on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. And if you're still alive in a guillotine league, by the way, I don't think Nacua is startable in a guillotine league, but there are better options out there than Nacua. And lastly, Matt Stafford. Tough matchup for him on paper as well. New Orleans ranked 4th in pass coverage by Pro Football Focus. That said, the Saints haven't faced many notable passers as of late. Tommy DeVito, Bryce Young, Desmond Ridder, Josh Dobbs. None of those guys are comparable to Stafford. Jared Goff is, though. He threw for multiple scores against the Saints in Week 13. Stafford could do the same tonight. He's got multiple touchdown passes in 4 straight, 12 total during that span. So he's a top 10 quarterback option. There's only about odds are you might have one guy ranked higher than him this week, but if you don't, you can start staff with confidence. But I wouldn't pair him up with Nakua or Kupp. I would. You don't want to put too many eggs in one basket, in my mind.
So, some of us are rooting for Golden Boy. I think all of us are rooting for Payos. He participates in mine. I've been going back and forth with him. He's not gone public. Like, he's not out there tweeting like Golden Boy. So it's a different situation as far as that goes. But keep in mind, this is the Christmas week. And I want to jump ahead for a quick second when looking at this week. So there are 3 games. The Christmas Day triple header is a standalone week in Circa Survivor for this big event. And a lot of people went in with the mentality, okay, you either save KC or you save Philadelphia because you don't want to deal with Baltimore or San Francisco. Like, that would be your pick. Everybody alive, all 10, have used both Baltimore and San Francisco. Makes perfect sense. Of the 10 guys, 9 have Philly available. 9.
Wow.
Only 1. Payos is the only one that's used Philly.
Really?
He's the only one.
Wow.
But he has
He's
Kansas
documented.
City available. He's one of 2 that has KC against Vegas. I find that really interesting that almost everyone in the pool that's still alive circled Philly as a team that they were going to save for Christmas Day. And instead they decided to use KC at some point. And he went the opposite approach. And I was telling him, like, this is a great spot because obviously if you get to Christmas Day, the heavy chalk is going to be Philly. 9 people have them, and they're all going to be on Philly almost. Or I'm pretty sure, because there's one other person that has KC. And then you're not going to be tempted. It's great. It ends up being great game theory, but you got to get there first.
Look, I highly respect Jim Harbaugh. He's one of my favorite coaches. I think he's really good. I think he's easily top 10. But obviously we're talking about Nick Saban being the greatest of all time. And, I know it's a short subset and it's not a big sample size, but my goodness, postseason's not been kind for Jim Harbaugh. I mean, he's lost 6 in a row. And not only that, but let's talk against the spread. He's failed to cover all 6 of those games by an average of 16 points per game. So where we have a trend line where, with that extra time to prep has not been good for him. Saban recently, if you set the national championship game aside, because obviously that's just a week in between the semifinals and the championship game, when he's had a month to prepare, whether it's bowl games or getting ready for the semifinals, he's won his last 8 in a row by an average of 3 touchdowns per game and covering them by an average of 10 points per game. So, yeah, normally I wouldn't say it's a huge factor, but I think it's worth a point or so in this one.